Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Assetto Corsa. Today we're on the Pikes Peak hill climb, which is a modded track that we'll be talking about, and we're testing
the BMW E30 M3 Evo 3. That's a mouthful.
That is a real big mouthful. And we're going to be comparing it to the Ford Sierra Cosworth RS500.
By Bob Skype.
Yep. But we're going to start by, as usual, we'll talk about what we can see right in front of us. We'll talk about Pikes Peak hill climb, and then we'll start talking about the BMW.
Correct. So this track consists of 156 turns. It's a 12.42 mile track, and I believe it used to be a gravel and paved track. However, since 2011 it is now all tarmacked.
Yeah, but because we're racing the Simtrax version of this track, so he's the modder, or the modding group, we will link this mod in the description box below, and we will also link a link to his website where you can download a load of other tracks that he's working on. He based it off the 2008 race, which means that we are going to see gravel, which means this is going to be the first time we see gravel in Assetto Corsa, and that's going to be pretty interesting. I've never actually tried gravel in this, and when I did try it,
it was scary.
Yeah. The thing is about this track though, Pikes Peak is very well known. It's in a lot of racing games. I remember it used to be in the Gran Turismo series. It's not in the Gran Turismo series anymore. However, there has been rumours that it will be returning to Gran Turismo, so if it does, that's going to be quite interesting. I'd like to see which one returns though, because last time I raced this, it was part gravel, part tarmac. This time I'm racing it, it's part gravel, part tarmac. I've never actually tried the full tarmac, so that'll be interesting. But the climb is...
I was just going to mention that. I mean, I wasn't driving, I could just see how uphill it was. And then when we looked at the specification of the track, it said, what was it? The grade 7? So
yes, it's a 7% incline, which is pretty steep.
Yeah.
And that's on average as well. So there are parts where it's heavier? Not heavier. It's steeper.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got heavier from. But the climb, it's over the course of the entire track. So the 12.42 miles, you're going 1,440 meters higher than you were at the start.
And that's from mile 7, isn't it?
That's from mile 7 on the marker. So this is actually a public road.
Yeah.
Well, it's a toll road, I believe, but it's still
it's a highway.
Yeah, it's a highway.
Yeah.
It's the Pikes Peak Highway. Incredible track. It'd be great for us to have a look at this. And as you see through the race, we're not going to show the entire track because we've got 2 cars to show here.
Yeah.
But you can see we've just switched to gravel now, and I think this is the perfect time to actually start talking about the car.
So it's a BMW E30 M3 Evo 3. That's really a mouthful.
It really is. Now we've said it twice. It's just...
Yeah. Right, so it's officially licensed by AC on this game. It's a 1990 version straight 4 engine, producing 195 brake horsepower, with 250 newton meters of torque, and it's a rear-wheel drive, of course, all the BMWs are. And it's a 5-speed manual. It's got a 5-speed manual gearbox, naturally aspirated car, 16 valve, and its top speed is 146 miles per hour. It also weighs 1,200 kg, which is 1.2 tons, and its 0 to 60 is 6.5 seconds. So shall we compare that to the RS500?
I think when we get to the Sierra, we'll talk a bit about the Sierra.
Okay.
But overall, the car, it's a typical BMW. It really is a typical BMW, and it's a really good car.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, it's a really good car. But you can see that when we're driving on the track, you saw at the start, it slides a lot.
Very tail happy.
It's very, very tail happy. But then again, so are all BMWs, aren't they?
Most of them are. They're known to be tail happy, aren't they? Though.
They're like dogs. they love wagging their tail.
Yeah, pretty much.
But there it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's. It is on.
It's on gravel. Yeah.
But the thing is, with the BMW, we were driving it around, and it was very alive.
Yeah.
It's a very, very alive car. Assetto Corsa have done a really good job with it. So it sounds good. Although it did have this really, really strange, when you let go of the accelerator,
it sounds a bit like Crazy Frog.
Yeah, the backfire did sound a bit like Crazy Frog. And for those of you who actually remember what Crazy Frog is, let's not speak more of that.
Yeah, don't want to go into that.
Yeah, I pressed the handbrake, and it didn't really turn out so well. The thing is that with this car, you do feel like you're always on like a knife edge. A little bit too far and you're going to spin, a little bit too less and you're not going to get that power. And again.
Yeah.
I think I did that in the Sierra as well. Just getting used to this track.
It's not as much as this though on the BMW.
I mean, the thing with the BMW is that even though it felt like it was going pretty fast, the thing is, a lot of the time you were going sideways.
Yeah.
You really were going sideways. You'll notice on this a lot of times with the cars are sliding left, right, and it's not the fact that I'm steering badly. I was steering pretty decently, but especially on gravel, it was just all over the place.
I noticed when you de-accelerate and you're cornering at the same time, that's when it tends to drift.
Yeah, I mean that was actually, I was trying to force it into one. The way, if you decelerate and you sort of decelerate, and if you completely let off the throttle, and
then you're gone.
And then did that, well, you'd see that would happen. And then the moment you put it back on the throttle, the wheels would just spin up because of the amount of torque. But it's a really good car, and it's really fun to drive.
Definitely, yeah.
It's really fun to drive. Now, the thing is, its biggest competitor was, and probably still is to this day on this model, has to be the Sierra Cosworth.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to switch to the Sierra Cosworth soon. Maybe just give it a minute or something. We'll just show a bit more of this going back onto the tarmac. But you'll see how different the Sierra is. First of all, the driving, you had to handle it differently.
Definitely, yeah.
This car, you have to be there's a lot of finesse involved in this car. If you throw it into a corner, it likes it, but you have to be prepared to have the wheel in the complete opposite direction coming out the corner.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're gonna crash. Right, we're back up onto tarmac now. I like this. It narrows, and
Yeah.
I think that's a toll booth.
Ah.
But yeah, so it's generally, I don't know what to say about this car apart from it's really good.
It's a very good car, yeah.
It's a very good car, but
I guess now we'll just compare it to the RS500 and just see how
I think
good it really is.
let's switch over to the RS500 as we start this climb. But we'll go right back to the start so you can see the same corners going over on that. So we'll join you in a moment while we switch over to the Ford.
Right, we're back in the Ford Sierra Cosworth RS500, and now we'll be talking about this car further. So on to you.
Well, yeah, I'm generally the one who loves Ford. So this is the Sierra Cosworth RS500. It's a modded car, and it's made by I believe it's the Assetto Corsa forum user Bob Skype. We'll be leaving a link to his car and the thread, the Assetto Corsa thread, where you can download this car in the description box below, along with this track. This car was made in 1987. It is a Cosworth, so you expect a massive rear wing on the back. It's got 224 brake horsepower, so that is up on the BMW M3 by quite a significant amount. And it's got more torque, 277 Newton meters of torque. Same engine, it's a straight 4. However, this is turbocharged while the BMW is naturally aspirated. 16 valve as usual, and a higher top speed of 154 miles an hour. And with all of that, it's slightly heavier. It's 1,207 kilograms.
Not that really makes a difference, to be honest.
Not that it makes much of a difference, but it's 0 to 60 is 0.4 of a second faster, so it is 6.1 seconds. Overall, though, in terms of its specifications, they're generally matched. The Ford sort of edges it in everything just a little bit. However, when it comes to driving, while the BMW is a nice tail-happy, oversteery car, this Ford is, well, it does what Fords do best. I'm not going to say that it's the most amazing, exciting car around. It's because it isn't. The BMW is far more, it makes you feel far more alive. But for going fast and for doing what you need to do, this car is absolutely magnificent.
I think it's a great car for the corners
It's
as well.
so good. It's so planted.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a front-wheel drive car on the corners at points.
Yeah, there
because
are,
of
but
how-
it's slightly understeers at points.
Yeah.
In fact, that was a perfect moment
Exactly.
to say that. It does slightly understeer. But the car itself is just so planted, and it's got to be to do partly with the rear wing.
Yeah,
The physics are pretty good. I mean, we know people who have both had M3s and have driven Cosworth RS500s, and we stuck them in the simulator, and we asked them, what do you think of this? And they said they're fairly accurate to what the cars are. There is one thing about both these cars that we have to mention, is that the suspension on these cars, the way they were set up back then as we switched to the gravel, the way the suspensions were set up, unfortunately Assetto Corsa cannot accurately represent them, so you have to do a bit of trickery with the suspension. They've done it with the M3, and Bob Skype's done it with this RS500. He's done a bit of trickery with the suspension, so I don't know, maybe if Assetto Corsa managed to get it to a stage where they can implement this suspension, as well as they can't implement four-wheel drive either right now.
Yeah, they can't.
So when it gets to a stage when they can do that, maybe this car will be better. This car version that we're using right now is actually the sort of the Mark II of the Sierra Cosworth. So it's got a duct at the front for better airflow, slightly more flared wheel arches, everything's just slightly changed on it. Bob Skype is working on a Group A version of this, which should be able to. That should be really interesting. In fact, that I think will pit against the M3 Group A version, which is also in the Assetto Corsa. And I have a feeling on that, I think the M3 might edge it. But for a road car...
Oh yeah, they're both the same, isn't it? The same...
Yeah, they were designed for the same race series. But as a road car, you have to give it to Sierra. You really have to give it to the Ford Sierra. It is so well balanced. It is so well balanced, and it is really fun to drive. May not be the most exciting car, but if you want to race and you want to get good lap times and go fast, this is the car.
I didn't believe that I'd choose the Cosworth over the BMW as well at first.
Yeah, I remember when we were trying that.
Yeah, do you remember when we tried the BMW first out of all the modern cars, and I found this car to be really good, and then I signed to the Cosworth, and I was just like, wow, this is different.
It is different. It's different, but at the same time, it's not.
Yeah, it's really fun. I find it really fun.
Things that don't work with this car at the moment, with the mod, rear lights don't work. As you can see, I took the hairpin this time without mounting it. Right, so we said that the tail lights don't work. The gauge lights also don't work, so you can see that when we have the lights on, they don't work, which can be a bit of a problem when you're trying to talk about immersion. See, I did the same thing here, but like you said, it wasn't as mad as the BMW. But with immersion, we normally switch these apps off. The only reason these apps are on is for you, as our audience, to see. If we're driving just like that, we normally switch them off. Yeah. And with the gauge lights not working, it can be a bit of a problem, especially in the shade. You can't really see it. I hope that this is fixed. But apart from that, it's pretty. I think everything's really, really good on it. And for a track like this, it's really nice.
I think we definitely chose the correct track with these cars.
Yeah. The another track that I am going to try it out on is Lake Louise, because I think Lake Louise would be a really, really good track for us to try it out on. Plus, it has been updated, so I think that's what we'll be doing in our next episode. We're gonna do a little return to Lake Louise and show everyone what's been going on. Snoopy's got involved on that track, so you can imagine that the graphics are gonna look absolutely fantastic now.
I think when we showed the audience Lake Louise before, it was very glitchy. It wasn't.
There was a few. I mean, we said that the track was great, but there were glitches everywhere. We couldn't get out of the pit lane. That's been fixed. But we'll talk about that in that episode. For now, I want to say, which do you prefer?
I'll have to go with the Cosworth because of its handling, its balance of power, and it's excellent at cornering. So yeah, I'd go for the Cosworth. And even if you want to kick the tail out, you still could.
Yeah, you can.
Whereas the BMW is also an excellent car, but I don't know.
I think with the BMW, you tend to feel a little more out of control.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little.
With the Cosworth, when you're sliding, it's like you're part of the car.
Exactly.
You're sliding, and all you're doing with the steering wheel is just helping the car along a bit. You're just like, okay, I'll hold it here, and the car's like, sure, I'll just keep sliding as long as you. Yeah, with the BMW, you're like, I'll hold it here, and the BMW goes, you sure about that? I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's sort of, I think that's the problem with it. But apart from that, I mean, I like the BMW. There's no doubt about that. I like BMW, but I like this Cosworth more. I like I've always liked the Sierras, but I like this Cosworth. I think is one of my favorite cars already in Assetto Corsa, and I've driven it out on 4 or 5 different tracks already, and it's been absolutely brilliant. So I think we'll leave you to enjoy the rest of this lap. Well, not the rest of this, but some of the rest of this lap. And there is something slightly up ahead on this track that you guys are going to enjoy. We're not going to mention it,
but we'll leave it as well.
But we'll leave this little bit of this graphical marvel that comes up ahead. and then we'll cut the video over there. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, leave a comment, and next week we'll be back in the career mode. We'll see you next time.